So let's look to the future. We've seen the past, we've seen the present. Let's look at our last graphic, which represents the future. The GAO, at least twice a year, prepares several simulations of our fiscal future, using data from the Social Security and Medicare trustees' annual reports, using data from CBO with regard to economic assumptions and a variety of other things. And as you know, CBO is the Congressional Budget Office, one of our sister agencies. This is one of those simulations. If all tax cuts that were enacted in 2001 and 2003 are made permanent, and if discretionary spending, which is national defense, homeland security, judicial system, education, the environment, the nation's transportation infrastructure system, etc., if that grows by the rate of the economy over the next 10 years and over the long term, then it means that we face large and growing structural deficits such that by year 2040, we can do little more than pay interest on the massive and growing federal debt. That is obviously unacceptable. Even if all the tax cuts are not extended in whole or in part, even if we don't fix the alternative minimum tax, even if no new laws are passed that would serve to increase expenditures or reduce revenues, and even if we're able to constrain discretionary spending for the next 10 years to the rate of inflation, which we haven't for a long time, we still face large and growing structural deficits in the years ahead. Bottom line, the status quo is unacceptable and unsustainable. We're on an imprudent and unsustainable fiscal path. Tough choices are required. We will not be able to grow our way out of this problem. Anybody who says that suffers from two problems. Number one, they have not studied economic history adequately. And number two, they probably wouldn't do real well at math because the numbers just don't add up. So what do we need to do? At the federal level, we need to reimpose budget controls, meaningful budget controls on both the tax and the spending side of the ledger. We need to increase transparency with regard to the long-term cost so we can assess the affordability and sustainability of both spending and tax proposals over the longer term before they're enacted into law. The Medicare prescription drug benefit is a poster child for what not to do when considering new legislation. That bill cost over $8 trillion in current dollar terms, more than the accumulated debt outstanding in the United States since the beginning of the Republic in 1789. Medicare is underwater by $30 trillion. Social Security by $5.7 trillion. And that's just considering a 75-year horizon. I can make the numbers worse, but those are bad enough. So we need to change how we keep score for both accounting and reporting and budget purposes. We're going to need to reform entitlement programs, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. We're going to need to re-engineer the base of discretionary and other mandatory spending, and we're going to have to look at tax policy. How we do tax reform, what level of revenues we're going to need in order to pay our current bills and deliver on our future promises. Clearly, you want to minimize tax burdens in order to maximize economic growth, maximize disposable income, and maximize investment in productivity and innovation to maintain our competitive advantage. But in the final analysis, you've got to have enough revenues to pay your current bills and deliver on your future promises. We're short on that today, and we're going to get a lot shorter when the baby boomers start retiring in the near future. In addition, we need to keep in mind that this is not just about numbers. There are lots of numbers, and they're all big and bad. This is about values and people. From a values standpoint, stewardship. Each of us as public officials, whether we're elected or appointed, have a responsibility not just to deliver positive results today, not just to leave our organizations, our states, our localities, and our country better off when we leave than when we came. We have a responsibility to leave it better positioned for the future. The baby boom generation may be the first in the history of this country to break that long-standing tradition. That is not acceptable to me, and I hope and expect that it's not acceptable to you. So we've got to get serious and recognize reality and make some tough choices. And it's not just about values, it's about people. And for me, it's my kids and my 3 grandkids. They didn't create this problem, but they're going to bear the burden and they're going to pay the price if people don't start making tough choices soon. That is something we need to recognize. Thank you for your attention. Take care.